Hello guys, today we are going to explore one of the most viewed movie, Joker. Hope you'll like it. The movie begins in a city where rich and poor people live together, but the rich ones don't like the poor ones. The main person in the story is Arthur, who lives in this city. He used to live with his mum. Arthur really likes making people laugh and wants to be a great comedian. His hero is a host who has a fantastic comedy show. Arthur dreams of being on that show with him, so he works very hard for it. One day, Arthur is on the street holding a sign for a company's ad. Some naughty boys come and tease him, taking his sign. Arthur, dressed as a clown, chases them, but they make him run, hit his face with the sign, and beat him up. Sad and hurt, Arthur goes to his boss to tell the whole story, but his boss scolds him a lot. The boss doesn't believe Arthur and even says he won't get paid. This is just the beginning of Arthur's story, and more things happen to him as the movie goes on. Arthur doesn't feel very confident, so he can't speak up for himself when something bad happens. Feeling sad, he leaves and thinks, "Am I so bad that no one believes me?" When he gets home, he starts dancing. It's noticed that he is not very strong. The next day, Arthur talks to his co-worker about the kids who did something wrong to him. The co-worker tells him he should have taken care of himself. The co-worker gives Arthur a gun and tells him to keep it for protection. Arthur doesn't want the gun, but the co-worker insists and Arthur takes it. On the bus home, there's a kid sitting in front of Arthur. He tries to make the kid laugh, and the kid laughs loudly. The kid's mum gets mad and tells Arthur to go away. But instead, Arthur starts laughing too. It's explained that Arthur has a mental disorder and he can't control when he laughs. In the bus, he gives a card to the lady with information about his condition. When he gets home, he takes medication. But getting this medicine is not easy for him because he doesn't have a lot of money. So, he has to get it from a government medical store. One day, Arthur goes to see his psychiatrist. She asks him to show her his diary and see what he has been writing. When she reads it, she finds a note saying, "I don't want to die painfully. I've spent my life." After visiting the psychiatrist, Arthur goes home and his mother asks if he got a letter from someone named Thomas. Arthur says no, not today. Thomas is described as a rich businessman and people are scared of him. Arthur's mother believes that Thomas will support them once he knows about their situation. The next day, Arthur meets a single mother with her daughter on his way home. Arthur starts to like her, but he goes back to his house. His mother asks about the letter again, and Arthur says that Thomas won't support them and questions his mother's connection with him. The following day, a single girl comes to Arthur's house. She tells him that she noticed him chasing her. Arthur admits that he liked her, and they start laughing together. This leads to them developing a friendship bond. Arthur gets another chance to be a comedian, and this time it's at a children's hospital. While he is dancing to go there, a gun falls out of his pocket. All the kids get scared, and the people at the hospital are surprised, wondering why he has a gun. Because of this, he loses his job when the news spreads. He calls his boss and says the gun is just a toy, but his boss doesn't believe him. The boss says that Arthur's co-worker told him that Arthur took the gun from him, making Arthur feel disheartened because the co-worker forced the gun on him. Later, on a train, Arthur encounters 3 businessmen who were associated with someone named Thomas. They are bothering a girl on the train. Because of his mental disorder, Arthur starts laughing, and the businessmen think he is laughing at them. They beat him up, causing his mouth to bleed. Arthur tries to explain his condition, but the businessmen don't listen. In a fit of anger, Arthur takes out his gun and kills the 3 businessmen. He then locks himself in a bathroom. At first, he was scared, but then he starts dancing. It looked like Arthur didn't feel sorry for what he did. He seemed calm. When he got home, the TV was showing the news, and Thomas was speaking. Thomas said that 3 people were killed, and they were his men, killed by a clown. Surprisingly, poor people were supporting the clown instead of feeling sorry for the 3 who were killed. This was because they were protesting against rich people, looking like clowns. After watching this, Arthur goes to see his psychiatrist. She tells him that this will be their last meeting because the government stopped funding them, and she can't help him for free. Arthur feels sad and leaves. Then, Arthur is shown trying to make people laugh in a comedy show, but he can't. He gets anxious and starts laughing loudly, disturbing the show. He goes back home, and his mother tells him to mail a letter to Thomas. Arthur is surprised and asks why she kept it a secret. His mother explains that she didn't do it on purpose. Thomas and I had feelings for each other, and we even wanted to get married. But there was a problem. I was from a poor family, and he was rich. So, because of what society thought was right, we didn't get married. After this, Arthur goes to meet his father. When he gets there, he sees Thomas's son behind the gate. Arthur starts acting silly and tries to make him laugh.
Don't forget to subscribe.
At the same time, Thomas's worker comes there and says it's not good to talk to strangers. He tells Arthur to leave, but Arthur says he will leave after telling the truth. He explains that his mother worked for Thomas for 30 years and they liked each other. Arthur claims he is Thomas's son. However, the worker calls them both crazy and says Arthur has made up the story. He insists Arthur has no connection with Thomas. Feeling sick, Arthur leaves. When he gets home, he finds out that his mother had a health attack and was taken to the hospital. While sitting outside, 2 police officers arrive and ask Arthur if he knows about the 3 victims who were murdered on the train. Arthur says, "No, how can I know?" He understands that his mother has been asked the same question by the police, and this caused her to have a health attack. He goes inside where the single mother is also present. Then, the TV shows a news report, and Arthur sees his favorite TV host, the comedian he admired. He watches the show with joy, but to his surprise, his own face appears on the TV. It turns out that Arthur's ideal comedian is making fun of him because Arthur couldn't control his laughter during a comedy show. This deeply hurts Arthur, as he had found motivation from this comedian, and now his idol is mocking him. Meanwhile, Thomas comes to Arthur's house, and the news on TV reveals that the city's situation has worsened. Poor people, wearing clown makeup, are protesting against the rich, especially against Thomas. Arthur is excited because he feels that his actions are being acknowledged for the first time. The poor people who were rebelling were gathered at a theater. The rich people were watching a movie in a theater. Thomas, a wealthy man, was also there. The police arrived to stop a protest happening outside, causing chaos. Using the confusion to his advantage, Arthur goes into the theater. He goes to the restroom where Thomas is also present. Arthur politely tells Thomas that he is his son and reminds him of the times when he and Arthur's mother used to be together. However, Thomas denies knowing any lady by that name and punches Arthur strongly, making his nose bleed. Feeling hurt, Arthur goes back home. Later, he gets a call from the police. They want to question Arthur about the day when 3 men were killed. At the same time, Arthur learns that his favorite comedian has invited him to his show. The routine comedy clip of Arthur that was played on the show became popular, making Arthur very excited. He gets ready to go to the show, but wonders if Thomas's domestic worker told everyone that his mother is insane. So, Arthur decides to go to the hospital where his mother was treated for her mental health. He asks for his mother's records and, without permission, takes the file. In the file, he discovers a written statement revealing that Arthur's mother was in a relationship with someone who physically abused her. At that time, Arthur also suffered a head injury, which is believed to be linked to his current mental health condition. Feeling troubled, Arthur goes to the home of a friend, a single mother. However, it turns out that this friend doesn't actually exist. She was just a product of Arthur's imagination. Arthur used to imagine her and worry about his mother's well-being. Distraught by his mother's condition, Arthur goes to the hospital, where he sadly suffocates his mother to death with a pillow. When he returns home, he discovers a photo with a message on the back from Thomas, expressing admiration for his mother's smile. This photo proves to Arthur that his mother was telling the truth. Feeling rejected and disheartened, Arthur puts on his clown makeup and becomes disconnected from the world around him. At this point, his co-worker reappears and expresses a desire to question Arthur about his mother's recent death and the train incident where 3 people were killed. So, Arthur believes that the police officers have come to disrupt his life again. In response, he violently kills his co-worker. After this, Arthur gets ready and puts on his clown costume. He is very excited and dances as he makes his way to his favorite comedian's show. At the show, the police officers who were investigating the train incident also arrive. However, Arthur quickly escapes by boarding a train, blending in with many others wearing clown costumes. Taking advantage of the crowd, he manages to slip away and proceeds to the comedian's show. Upon reaching the show, Arthur approaches the comedian and asks if he is also dressed as a clown and rebelling against the wealthy people. Arthur then requests the comedian not to reveal his true identity to the audience and to present him as an ordinary clown. The live transmission of the show begins, and the audience gets excited, appreciating Arthur's presence. During the show, the comedian asks Arthur why he has come in a clown costume. Arthur replies that he always wanted to be happy and spread joy among people. He chose to appear as a clown because people liked him in that look. In the live TV show, Arthur shocks everyone by confessing that he is the one who killed the people in the train. He explains that he decided to reveal this information because many poor people have been violently killed by the wealthy and no one seems to care. He questions the lack of attention and voices raised against the upper class. Arthur expresses his frustration about the corrupted society and its self-obsessed inhabitants. He believes that people only invited him to the show because his presence increased the show's popularity, not out of genuine sympathy. When the comedian denies this, Arthur becomes angry, takes out a gun, and shoots him in front of the audience. People panic and run away, but Arthur remains confident and unafraid. The police quickly apprehend Arthur for this crime, and they take him away in a vehicle. Despite the chaos and fear, Arthur appears resolute and undeterred. On his way, Arthur notices many people supporting him. Some of them even join him in an ambulance, crashing it into the police car. The police car is damaged, and Arthur emerges from the chaos, standing on the vehicle with his supporters. People are looking at him with joy, and despite bleeding from his mouth and nose, Arthur forms a smile with the blood, starting to laugh with outstretched arms. It's a smile that hides pain and sorrow. Now, he has become an idol for everyone, and he feels satisfied with the admiration he receives. Meanwhile, Thomas, the wealthy man, is leaving the city with his current wife and son. A clown on the side shoots and kills Thomas and his wife, but spares their son. The scene shifts, and Arthur is shown with his psychiatrist, still laughing. The psychiatrist questions why he keeps laughing without any apparent reason. Arthur says to his psychiatrist, "You will never be able to understand this feeling." After saying this, he steps outside. The soles of his shoes are filled with blood, symbolizing the transformation of a kind person into a murderer. The moral of the story is clear. An innocent victim can become a victimizer if treated poorly. Arthur, once a tormented and pained individual, has become indifferent to his actions. He is now somberly content with his life. The movie concludes with this scene. Thanks for watching.